What's up, AfterBuzzers? We're talking about The Handmaid's Tale, episode 2 and 3, which is Birthday and Late. And we got a lot to talk about. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I was going to say, where's our music? There it is. Yay! What's up? And we have the full panel today. And also, happy May the 4th to you. May the Force be with you. We are talking The Handmaid's Tale, episodes 2 and 3. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D. Lane. That's Karidlane.
Hi guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
Hi everyone, Veronica Bariga here. I am on social media as at Veronica B Online. I just formed a Twitter, so follow me on there as well. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow, and that's MSADRINSNOW.
And for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. We do have a live chat, and you can feel free to join us. And if you're watching it later, comment down below. We love how much you all have commented on the last video.
Yeah, we do.
Good
And
stuff.
also to reiterate, some of us have read the book, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, but this is primarily about the show. So if you have read the book, don't do any spoilers, because we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. So, episodes 2 and 3. Whew, a lot happens, right?
Yeah.
Too much happens.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Nightmares ensued. Terrible things.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, what happens to Offred is like probably number one, my worst nightmare.
Worst
So,
thing ever.
Yeah.
I feel like, and this is like a sad thing to say, but that I'm watching a documentary at this point. Do you remember True Life on MTV? Okay, True Life, This Is America. That's
Oh, I
what
didn't
this
see
is
that
like.
one.
No, that's this show, the
Oh.
Handmaid's Tale. That's how I feel. Like it's it's so. It's too real. I said this last time, but this whole thing about that scene with Offred and the female mutilation, like that's real. This has been happening for decades in the Middle East, in Africa, and
Two doctors were just busted for it in Michigan.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
We have the same face right now. I'm like, what?
And
Why?
and that exactly.
What?
To children.
Wait, why?
Yeah, the two
Yeah.
doctors in, I believe, Michigan
wild.
were just arrested for female genital mutilation on children.
Did they give an explanation for why they were doing it?
Not
Not that there's a good one, but I'm curious to say why
Yeah.
they were like, this is why we're doing it.
I don't believe they've made any statements yet. I do believe that it was
Did the parents
religiously
know?
inspired, but they were bringing their children to have this procedure done. Yeah, they weren't just doing it for just snipping things. No, their parents were patients of theirs and brought their kids to go through
Holy
this
shit.
process.
Oh, also, we can
Yeah.
swear because this show has swearing. So,
Yeah. I'm
just
gonna
so
need
y'all
to.
know.
I swear.
I know, but
In every show. And then I have to apologize.
No,
Even
no
Doctor Who, and I'll
apologizing
be like,
on this one.
sorry, I'm going to say shit.
No, this show has swearing, so we can
So,
swear here.
I like that.
So, episode 2, we start with the semi-amusing, distracting thoughts during the ceremony, and just hurry the fuck up. Which
That's right.
It's kind of like the opposite of just, hey, think of something to not get aroused.
Yes.
It's the think of something, I don't want to think about it. Blech. But it looked like the wife was thinking the same thing. She had the same kind of like,
This is just
Turning on
Taking
Yeah.
forever, bro. No one wants to be here.
Seriously.
And then something totally random, but I kind of was like, oh, that's interesting. This one's during the daytime, but so far in the book I felt, and I finished it, by the way, for people who watched last one. I felt every time they had the ceremony it was at nighttime.
At night. Yeah.
But it was kind of, but I'm like, you could, anytime, doesn't really matter. But
Sure.
Afternoon delight. Nope,
Yeah.
that's wrong, Joelle. Stop
that
it.
looked, well, this looked like the morning, and then she's starting her day, but
Yeah.
whatever. The chatting with the other handmaids at the wall was very interesting to see them just hanging out.
and be girls, just being girls.
And-
Yeah, a little more
Yeah.
humanizing them, a little more, and a little bit more freedom.
As
Less
human
brainwashed.
as you can feel.
Yeah, next to
And-
the atrocities.
And
hanging
the
on
wall where they hang
Yeah.
bodies.
Yeah,
It's like,
you know.
True
Yeah.
that. Exactly.
We learned that both Offred and Offred are very educated because they kind of talk about their past and history, which is really cool to learn about them.
Offred was a professor.
That's
Mhm.
amazing.
And all college professors usually went to the colonies.
Yeah.
Yes,
Which
but
I was
she
like,
could
wow,
reproduce,
so the
she could hang out.
education is considered
Mm-hmm.
unwanted.
Yep.
in
Oh,
this-
yeah.
in
But
this
she is
world.
healthy.
You might be a
ovaries.
threat to society.
Well, the educated are usually the ones who are able to begin overthrowing people. Like when
Yep.
you understand how to communicate, when you can write, when you can read,
Yeah.
when you can share information.
It's the same thing with slavery.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
you don't know how to read or write, then you can't overthrow anyone.
they have the destroying of the churches and the I van, and it grabs the guy, and they kind of have the don't feel bad that it's not you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't feel bad that you feel that way.
Yeah.
She's like, but he's still a person.
Yeah.
And you're like, I know, but yeah. So that's kind of crazy. So that was actually the first scene that they have with the van. Remember on episode 1 they have that, so they changed that a little bit. But that was kind of cool to have it more than once, because then it really is this overbearing presence
It's the thing
of
that
the
happens.
van.
Yeah.
Offland is a crazy, like, join us. We have a network.
So exciting! So exciting! I don't know if I trust Offland. We talked about this last week.
Right?
I feel like if I lived in this society, I would literally trust nobody at all ever. Because
But
everything
she
is a
also
threat
says
to your
that
life.
at the end of the episode.
She
She's like,
sure
you're right.
as
You
hell
shouldn't trust
does.
anyone.
She sure as hell does. But how exciting! And I liked that we see Offred like kind of light up at the idea of doing anything.
Right. Yeah.
Like her life is so controlled, and so you go here, you do this, and then it's over. And this like, oh, new things are happening.
Yeah.
Like I get just to participate in my own, like active participant in my own life.
Yes.
It was kind of thrilling and then really, really sad.
When she said the network, I was like, oh, the resistance is building.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Rebel.
something going on. It's about to go down.
Or even just like,
That was.
well, their excitement about talking about falconry, I was like, yeah, these women need something to do. Like,
Yes.
like
Time for
it's
a
like,
revolution.
time for a revolution. When people were like, I remember just filing away things on falconry, and I miss that. I was like, dang.
Yep.
6 volumes worth too.
volumes?
Like my goodness.
Or when she spit out the cookie, I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh,
A
wow.
little bit of resistance
That's such
there.
a nice little power move, because I was like,
Yeah.
honestly, I would be so happy to have that cookie.
Right.
'cause,
Savor every little.
Someone
like,
on
how often
Twitter
do I
was
get to
like-
have sugar?
Yeah.
But I also would have been like, but fuck you for acting like I'm like your pet,
Yes.
and oh, here's your treat, and
Yeah.
oh, look at how well behaved she was. I was like, oh my god.
Little sluts, all of them, to just
Oh,
send her around the door.
yeah.
I was like, you just had to get that dig in. Like she did everything right, and you still felt at the end like, let me just jab that knife in.
Yeah.
They're sluts because of what? Like what? Like if
Because
this
the
is
wives
what?
got to feel better about themselves.
Oh my god.
No,
Yeah.
it's-
You got to separate. That's something
Yeah.
that we do in society all the time to keep women from forming stronger bonds. Is that we separate us into the prudes and the sluts, and the prudes don't like the sluts because they're sluts, and the sluts don't like the prudes because the prudes are
Uptight.
prudes and uptight.
But I was just saying, but when you get two sides, you know, together that may be opposites or different sides of the coin, women's sisterhood is unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I was just like fantasizing about, you know, the wife or the commander's wife's somehow joining forces with Offred. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna happen that way,
Yeah.
I absolutely want that to happen because this seems to be such a good girl power kind of show where I'm like,
it has
man, how great would that be? But at this time, to see how just the ability to make a baby can divide women, this idea that you're more worthy and you're chosen, and so because of that, I have to put you down and make it my accomplishment. We'll get there, but that scene mind after me too. I was like,
I was gonna say,
what is
that's
even
even
happening?
today.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have Nick getting a little further along with that chemistry of her legs showing.
Oh,
That was
cute.
tantalizing.
What is that
That was
actor's
adorable.
name? I was
Max something.
I
His
will
dad
find
was a
out.
famous actor. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how I'm going to feel about him in the show, but when I saw he was on here, I was like,
He's so pretty. He's so
he's
pretty.
fun little British actor.
Well, he warns her, be careful and don't get too close, but they're
Yeah.
having their nice little chemistry. And this is the thing that we were getting close to.
Yes,
When last
yes.
week I was like, the commander, and she gets the commander's invitation. He wants to see you alone
Ugh.
tonight.
That was weird.
Yeah.
That was so,
gross.
weird.
The actor that plays Nick's name is Max Minghella.
Max
Minghella?
Minghella.
Yeah, it's
Minghella.
It's
He's,
very hot, very cool.
He's also like acting royalty. Like he
Yeah.
comes from
Yeah.
a big acting family or entertainment family.
But that
Yeah,
Nick
yeah.
situation really tipped me off to some things because Nick
Okay.
being like, because we were wondering last week, like, is
Yeah.
Nick a person that we can trust or not?
Yeah.
Right.
And this idea
yeah.
of him being like, hey, stay away, to me gave the indication that he's involved in something he does not want to be involved in.
Right, like a goody two shoes that can't fight back, or like trying to play the game, maybe.
That one,
just
just
to,
being forced
trying to,
into a corner and having to behave in such a way so that you can survive, as we've been
Right.
seeing Offred do.
yeah.
That was kind of my question when I went back and watched episode 2 today. I was like, do the men, and this is not in any way, let me make me very clear. I'm a feminist. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, we should have sympathy for the men in this world. No. But do some of the men follow along with this because they simply don't have the money to escape. Like, are there some men within this society where by being an eye, by having some type of power in that way, it allows them to survive? Because if they were to speak out against it, obviously there is a penalty for speaking out. Even if you're a man, we see men being hung as well. So that was something that I was curious about. There's just a picture of Max.
I go both, that men and women in this world will do things to survive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not necessarily because they want to.
Yeah.
Right.
Does this mean they would be part of a resistance?
No.
Completely up to the person. It totally depends. Then we jump to the very random thing. I don't know if you guys noticed. Her shoes, there's no shoelaces. Because you could hang yourself with them.
Good observation.
We get the birth mobile. How interesting and weird is that?
I had so many questions. When we had the sound, I'm like, okay, it's an ambulance to pick up the girls to check to see if they're pregnant. No, it's a wooden carriage.
What is going on?
They're just taking the women. But then we get to the birthing scene. I was like, oh, okay. I if we're gonna look at traditionalist societies, the idea of birth going back to women and being a communal ceremony is really fascinating.
Well, something very interesting with that scene in the book, it mentions when Offred goes in, there is a doctor parked outside, a male doctor, but they're not allowed inside unless there's an emergency. So the ritual of birth is dedicated only to women.
And that's kind of I think that does have some type of historical background to it, where, you know, it is doctors that for a long time were only men, and so only women would come to see them if there was something wrong in terms of the actual birth. But overall, I mean, watching that woman pretend to be pregnant and having a baby, I was livid.
I was laughing because I didn't know what to do. I was so awkward.
I was somewhere in between both of you.
It was psychotic.
It was it's a group delusion. And watching, like, first of all, Offred's face, like watching her watching it, that had me rolling, because she's just like, are y'all for real? Like, I've actually had a baby, and this is so much performance and dramedy and stupidity involved in this moment. And yet the idea that you can get a group of people together to actively believe something is happening to them that is not, to go that far into it mentally. And then my favorite moment, what is Offred's lady's name? She's called
Serena Joy.
Serena.
Oh, yeah.
Serena catching Offred's eye and then sharing this, like, 2-second moment of both of them being like, this is fucking ridiculous. I don't believe that Serena is the good guy, or that she'll be the hero of our story at all. I don't think she's ever going to step outside of the lines that society has built for her. Yeah. But I really like seeing these cracks in her veneer of like, what is even happening here? This is crazy. I'm just very fortunate to be on this side of things.
Yeah.
The other crazy thing, these moments give us a more insight into their world, that only 1 in 5 have a healthy baby if you get pregnant in the first place. Which is great to give us more context, because we're like, okay, not only do you just got to get pregnant, oh wait, is the baby gonna be
it's extra hard,
Aunt Lydia being there, I don't think she was in there in the book, but I like that she's constantly around.
Me too.
Because it's creepier and annoying. I'm like, this lady's everywhere.
It also feels like they're reporting directly to, like, she's a general in the army, like, reporting on her soldiers.
Yep. I was going to say, which is the great way when you're taking over people, because you use one of your own to do it. So if it's a woman telling y'all what to do compared to a man telling women what to do. You know? And how the wives are kind of having, like, a party about it. But then we get the flashback for Offred of the empty baby beds at the hospital. Yeah. And she's giving birth, and she's like, what about the babies? And they're like, we had a rough night. Like,
because it's already, it's an epidemic, which is, you know. Like,
and and I think that's fairly the same statistics, 1 in 5. Like, it was 4 other kids.
Oh, that's
they said
right.
2 passed and 2 were in the thing. So she was right on there. I want to hang in with the web show, who's in the chat, says, talking about Offred and what do these names mean, saying, is a pre-revolution Russian serfs tradition to take the name of the nobles upon whose land you worked or served. Also early feudal Europeans before names were taken from occupations. So interesting fun facts. We talked last week about all the cultures that are kind of mixed into this show, and I still find that very fascinating.
They're all named. It's of Glenn, of Fred.
Yep. You don't get a name anymore.
Yeah, you are you are a property.
I mean, essentially, that's what, when the tradition of marriage, when a woman takes on her husband's last name, it's also the same tradition that happens within slavery. You take on the last name of your master, because you are now their property.
Yep.
That's
a good way to brand
why
people.
if I ever get married, tough shit, honey. Never changing my name.
Yeah, girl.
Love it. Or hyphenating.
That's it.
My mom was a big
I didn't
hyphenator.
change my
That's
name.
what I'm doing.
You didn't change your name?
We thought of getting a name together, and then we were like, screw it.
Yeah.
So.
Or like
care.
mixing both names, like
No, we're
J-Rod.
gonna pick something completely different.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's fun. New family. I like that idea.
Change your identity.
Yeah, that's what Aaron Taylor Johnson, he took his wife's name.
He sure did.
There you go.
She didn't
That's
take his
sweet.
name. So
Nice.
I was like, yeah.
He was joining their family too. She had 2 kids already. And
Yeah.
it was, like,
Yeah.
becoming a thing.
She's like 30 years older than him.
They're
So
perfect.
like, she's a grown woman.
So what do you guys think of Code Yellow at the hospital with that lady stealing her baby momentarily?
Jeez.
How did you freak out then?
That
Gosh.
was so sad.
It was twice as sad when you find out that she was a mother who lost her baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at first, like it was this moment of like, oh
Yeah.
god, she's like all of the other like
I knew
mams who are like stealing.
immediately. I was
So
like,
much
"This is the woman who
crazy.
just lost her child." Like, because there's
Yeah.
no reason for her to just. This is not.
Yep.
Leftovers where people are just like,
Yeah.
"I'm
Yeah.
taking your baby because I'm crazy." Like, I was like, "No, she obviously just lost her child."
Yes.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
was a crazy act.
It was a crazy act, but
But even it was done in like the most gentle way of her. Like she was just picking up the baby. And she was
she
just gonna
did
walk
kill
out.
that
Trying to
nurse
walk out
though.
with it.
Hey,
Yeah.
did you approach me too quickly? I was scared. But what I did overlook that. She did.
She
kill
was
a
a nice
nurse.
baby stealer.
Yeah, but then the reaction to it, this like super volatile, like
yeah.
you know, shove her to the ground kind of disregard for her as a
Oh,
human
I
being
see
now,
what
even though
you're
she's just a
saying.
woman who's hurting.
This
Well,
happens
that's
more
nice,
than
yeah.
once, though, that they have a Code Yellow. So they have a word for it. So
Yeah. Babies
probably
get
their
stolen,
tolerance
man.
for that is low. And all the
Yeah.
people outside praying for good birth and stuff, creepy. Did you
I'm
guys notice that?
surprised
The
no
crowd?
one tried
Yeah.
to like
Oh.
Yeah.
touch her belly or do any of the like.
You don't want to interfere, you don't want to hurt her.
That's fair too.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there would be like, oh, I should fall over the crowd. I was surprised
Yeah.
that they were just like, we have to keep praying this hard because this baby's probably going to die. We only
Yeah.
get one.
I mean, that was the only birth of the night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I can understand that desire to ensure that. It's just like when you think about Children of God, like
Yeah.
she had to go on the
yeah,
run.
very
She was
similar.
the only pregnant person. Like, what does that mean for
Yeah.
like what would they do to her? What would they do to the
Yeah.
child? You know, so
It's interesting to me how like human extinction is this overarching theme that kind of it's so barely touched upon in the show,
Yeah.
but that's the core fear for everyone. It's like we're all dying, and maybe if we can restore some kind of order, then we don't have to fear the death so much. We'll give the children to the best parents. We'll keep all the riffraff like out into the sides, and I kind of hope that we get to explore a little bit of that mentality.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important in understanding how these things happen.
I mean, it's kind of you kind of see that happening even now.
You
of,
for
like,
sure see it happening now.
of just that
Yeah.
mindset of like, well, to maintain order and to ensure a lifestyle that certain people are used to having, like that they feel is
Traditionalists?
changing. That people try to become more strict and more structured. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, first off, we aren't having an epidemic of not having enough humans. We have too many humans at this point. So I
True
feel like
that.
that's going to be something where it ends up. I'm sorry, we're getting notes at the same time. My brain can't do two things at once sometimes. I feel like it's just something. I forgot it. Sorry, guys.
Control
It's all
people.
But
Yeah.
the thing, it's real. In China, actually, due to pollution, men are experiencing fertile problems, or not fertile problems.
Fertility problems.
Thank you, fertility problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's real in China right now. So when I watch the show, I like, oh, fun fact, that's real. You know, like it's
Yeah.
crazy if you start to pick it apart. Everything is happening or
Yeah.
has
Well,
happened.
especially because now that we're
It's
looking
wild.
at Offred's situation with skipping ahead just a tiny bit,
Yeah.
not being able to get pregnant, you have to wonder, like, is it his issue? Like
Mm-hmm.
no one is exploring his like.
Never mind.
Does he have the sperm?
We're
count? Is
gonna
he
get
able
there
to
in
do
the.
it?
Yeah.
We'll be getting there.
Is
Sort
that 3
of.
or 4?
If she
4.
gets her period.
Yeah.
Three
Okay.
times
So
her
3.
period.
Yeah, if you looked ahead, I'm like,
Of
no.
course I did.
Okay. Well, anyway, I was gonna say, wait, let's keep going back to it. We have,
Did
we
you
have a
watch
lot more to
episode
cover
4?
still.
I mean, the audience is looking
Yeah.
ahead, so I don't
All right.
feel bad this time.
So the birthing position and the chair is similar to the ceremony of like you gotta pretend like you're actually doing that, which is all the more creepy. But what about that beautiful shot when they do the camera coming up with all the handmaids hugging each other?
I
Yeah.
left y'all.
Oh,
I'm not
Like
even
a
gonna
dream
lie.
catcher, like a web.
Yes.
That was very very we're here for each other. Symbolic, I think.
To go through one of the most like emotional events a woman can go through, like having a child is just an incredibly emotional experience.
Yeah.
Having someone like this woman who's essentially going to steal your baby, like touching you behind as it's happening, which is so freaking gross and volatile.
And pretending to do the pushing with you. And,
so gross. But then, and I'm sorry, it's real quick. Just to see Offred be so calm and collected in that moment and know exactly what to do. She swept right into nursemaid mode and was like, "Look, here, I'm just gonna sit with you, and it's gonna be okay." Yeah. I really like how they are as a unit, but I also think it's the thing that keeps them down, and it kind of terrifies me.
Oh.
Well, even the moment too, Janine doesn't get to hold her baby after, so it's like, "Here, look at me. Don't look over there," and you're just like.
And they're congratulating the other woman. What a
good job! Your baby's so beautiful.
So beautiful. I worked so hard. What in the? Just all sorts of crazy.
So I thought we'd all appreciate this. Of how much did we enjoy seeing how they showed breastfeeding on a show?
Oh yeah.
I expected it. I was like, you better not censor this. I mean,
I was glad they showed it because so much that's a thing in current debate too. Of like
freaking crazy to me.
It's like that's how you were. Okay, whatever.
Like, breastfeeding is gross. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The most natural thing on the planet. It's weird.
Though, side note, it's interesting with this world and the real world. Technically, they keep around the handmaids so the baby's weaned off and everything. But you could just feed baby formula. You know, like there are plenty of babies who didn't have mother's milk. Yeah. And because then that puts pressure on mothers of like, you got to be perfect to be able to breastfeed your baby. And then some can't either.
Everything's connected,
But I don't think they really mention it in the show, but they mention in the book how they are a society that believes that the mother's breast milk is healthiest. So then that's why they keep them around, which is creepy and interesting. Then we get the I have a Nick and Offred share a look. Oh, I think it's when she comes back. Okay. I absolutely thought it was hilarious when she does going to the commander and she does like the horror narration.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Scary to me. No, because I feel like if you've ever been in that moment where you're like, I really don't want to be stupid, but I have to take. I can't. She does not have the option to turn around and not go in.
Right.
And so the idea of she's like, I don't want to be stupid.
Yep.
And not having a choice at the same time. It's terribly frightening.
She can't just.
It was good writing though. It was great writing.
Funny.
You know, her
they
logic,
will
her
win
resistance.
all the Emmys, or I will riot.
I think they will actually.
It's so well written.
I hope so.
And the commander in his man cave is like, so this is a place though where we can bend the rules just a little bit. How much? I want to know your reaction specifically when he goes, I want to play a game. What were you thinking?
One, we know what decade you're living in, and so you did see Saw, and that's not cute. Second of all, this reminds me a lot of slaves who were essentially raped by their masters. I forget the 14-year-old Jefferson took under his wing. I was like,
Sally Hemings?
Yeah. It was a very Sally Hemings vibe throughout the entire situation, where it's like when you have no power and you have nothing, and somebody gives you time and attention and the space to use your brain, you can easily be fooled into thinking like this is a romantic thing.
Stockholm syndrome. That's what it's called. That's the thing.
That's not quite Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome is a little bit different, but it's close to the same thing of when you're deprived for so long and you get something, and especially again for her to have the space to use her brain, and she's constantly being forced to hide that she has one in the first place. It seemed unnaturally cruel. Like it awful.
Because I was waiting, and it's like, want to play a game, and it's like, I'm like, what are all the viewers thinking? Because it's surprise I want to play Scrabble. Like, out of all the things that he could think to do, and she could be like, he wants to do some crazy sex stuff. Right, no, he wants to play Scrabble.
Well,
what's that about?
It's more sinister.
There wasn't a long enough beat for me to think that it was going to go down a sinister path so quickly. Because even the way he said it, I was like, at first, I kind of took a step back and I was like, oh, I think he actually means a game.
I mean,
like an actual game. And then that also made me think about the relationships that it just. And here's the thing about ultra patriarchal societies. I'm taking my glasses off so everyone understands. So it has been proven that matriarchal societies are just much more comfortable to live in. When people can be sexually free and sexually open, people have more fun. When you have a patriarchal society, everyone suffers. So not just women, but men as well. So that's something that made me think of like, well, what kind of relationship is he allowed to have with Serena Joy?
Right.
Like, it seems like they don't even get to have like an actual marriage. Like everything's so structured and rigid.
Right.
Is this something where it is still an abuse of power and it is still wrong, but is this something where he's like
an outlet?
I kind of just need a connection with a woman that's not my wife, because
that is not how I read that scene.
The rigidity of the society that we live in.
Well, I definitely don't think he can have a relationship with Serena Joy because they're assigned wives. They don't choose.
Marriage.
There's no falling in love.
There's roles,
They don't seem to like each other very much. They don't. We don't ever catch them in conversations that are casual at all. It's very formal. But the entire time I read this scene is like, I can make you comfortable so that it doesn't feel like an attack. Like, I'll get you on my side, I'll make you comfortable, you'll just do whatever I need you to do, period, full stop.
I don't know if he's even, I just didn't even see it as even that selfless. I felt like it was something of like, well, this is a woman that is under my power, and I can.
And I need an outlet.
And she's not allowed to say anything about what goes on in this room anyway.
I don't know enough
I'll
about
wait till you
him
get to that scene in the book.
to have, you know, a strong view one way or the other. I was just like, what the hell is going on? But I wasn't. That's it.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? That's it.
But then what about the part after where they have the kind of pun, innuendo, and sarcasm banter? That got awkward.
That's what I'm saying. This is a power trip. Like when someone trusts you, you don't have to necessarily. It doesn't have to get violent. It doesn't have to get loud. You can have them under your thumb 24/7.
Yep.
That whole like, I'll just hold your hand and give you that long gaze.
I think we're saying the same thing
here.
here.
No lusty relationships at all. You can't express yourself at all. It just seems so like next level cruel to do this to somebody who has nothing.
Well, that's what. But I think that cruelty is also could potentially be something out of the fact that she's there. He may not even see it as a cruel thing. Like it's that selfish that it's about him that he doesn't even really see it as a cruel thing. You know, I think a lot of the times the way people in those types of societies are allowed to function is by warping their brains into thinking purely of themselves. That way, when they are extending a cruelty, they can't even fathom that because they don't even see that person as somebody who can feel cruelty anymore. You know.
Then we jump to the modern music, which I love that moment. And
that was
she's walking out, confidence, looks at Nick, is like, what's up? Oh, hey, Offglen, how's it going? And fuck.
Yeah.
It's not Offglen.
Oh, man,
But it is Offglen.
Yeah.
I'm Offglen now.
And then, and the music cut to beautiful
Yeah.
editing on that. So that's the end of that episode, which was just like, oh shit. Which that happens a little later in the book. So it's interesting they pulled that forward.
I thought that'd be the most intense. I was like, oh man,
I
had no clue. I was not prepared for episode 3, y'all.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
I wasn't. It came like a truck.
Well,
This
now
world
we're
is
on
bec-
episode 3.
It's slowly becoming more ordinary. Like the first episode, I had to watch it and just like not even think about it and remove myself. Now I watch episode 2 and I'm like, oh, this is normal. And it's, you know, it's like it's happening.
This is the world.
It's
I
happening.
understand the rules. This is how it happens.
Yep.
And then 3 just throws that curveball of our present day nightmares.
We're all just like take a moment to cry. I'm just kidding.
Then she has that moment of like, oh crap, can I ask this person where the other one is? Because that could get her in trouble. But
She needs to know, I'm glad she asked.
So again, this scene happens much later in the book, and it gets darker because she has to be so much more coded. So I like that they get to it faster because she's like almost like code word of like, yeah, there was this thing, and the person's like, you should forget those echoes of your past, and something you're like, ee! But this is so great because she's like, yeah, let me tell you about this stuff, and they heard it, the Martha chain line. And I like her, like, I am awake now. I was kind of in a daze, but this is I am awake. But then we get our nice little history explanation, too, because we were kind of wondering, how did the world go to this?
Right.
Well, someone destroyed the White House, killed everybody, and all that kind of stuff, and then it became martial law. And the show says it, but I'll elaborate. But, and it's the gradually heated bathtub scenario
That's
of, like,
the most
just
chilling
don't
part.
notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then we get the cafe flashback where, which it's a cigarette stand in the book, but same idea.
Sure.
And I like her with Moira because then Moira is so great of the comments.
We don't
and
like
how
your
rude
coffee.
that employee is. And someone could do that to you today, but it would be so out of, we're not used to that of employees don't do that. But they could.
In some places
If
they
you
do.
something
if
they don't like.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I got a full 180 here, y'all.
Yeah.
So in them running to the store, first of all, I like that they set up, like, she's got, not you. My brother and I were watching, he was like, what is she staring at? Like, these are boobs. Like, her boobs are hardly out at all.
Yeah,
like,
that was my
I
thought.
know, but we got that close up of a little bit of bouncing cleavage, and this woman is like, slut. You can see it written all over her face. She's not about it. To your point of this couldn't happen today, this happens all of it. Not... It would be weird
not
if it was coming from a paid person.
You're not used to it of employees because generally employees are polite.
Yes.
But if they don't like something about you, and this could be related to race, gender, age, anything, they could. Yeah. But generally, as an employee, you're not supposed to.
I think that comes back to also what people like. There was a big thing after the election of the current person, and there was a big like uptick of anti-Semitism and sexism and racism, and because people felt comfortable saying all the things that maybe they felt like it was inappropriate to say because now there was this man who condoned it, and that's been like I think what we're seeing is that this world is already at they're way past where we're at. They're already at the breaking point. So for that guy to be able to say like you're a fucking slut, that's because he feels like he's in a world now where he can say those kind of things.
And nothing will happen.
And
clearly nothing did happen. Every patron sat down, remained calm.
Mostly male patrons.
Yes, and they were the ones who left. It's crazy if you guys are watching Genius at all. There's an exact scene like this where Albert Einstein goes into a shop that he always goes to, a drugstore that he always goes to, and Mein Kampf is sitting on the table and he's talking to the clerk and he's like, what? And the guy's like, I didn't have a choice. There's nothing I could do, and we see that repeated here later when we see her job, and we get the job flashback.
Well, then we see they all bank accounts are frozen if you have an F next to your name. Creepy. And the work meeting, and all women are not fired. You just can't work here because that's the law. And I like her like, wait, when did this become law? Because how often are we super aware of what is happening?
Question. Did anyone else think that was martial law? That this was maybe something that had just been passed? Because they talk about like I don't think
she says that a little bit.
This is a new army. This is a different type of army. I got the feeling that they had like just taken over the government, instituted new laws, and we're going into places and being like, look, this is the law now. There was no vote. It's just what it is now, and you guys need to deal with it or suffer the consequences.
I think one of the girls said, no, that's not the army. Or, well, yeah, it's a different type of army. Okay, got you.
Well, they said it when she's talking with Moira and Luke. She says, like, they were just like, oh, they can't do that, and they're having that conversation. Right. But they said it was martial law since D.C., so they're in a martial law state at that moment.
Right.
And then it's because it was terrorism, quote unquote, and then how can they not just do this and it won't last and then I'll take care of you, and how much that is like the downgrade of society, that how fast it could happen of like, well, what can you do? So it's like very scary. Was there anything else on that?
Just that I really like Moira's rebuttal to her
Oh,
husband of being like, do you understand that this is everything that's wrong with what we're talking about? And then for her to turn around and be like, also a big strong man who walked me to the train station.
It sucks, but that's a common thing of just like, well, I want to rally. I want to be angry. This is bullshit patriarchy. Yeah. And then you're like, but
it's dangerous.
Will you be my bodyguard?
I need you to actually walk me out. Like, that's a real life thing. Even last night, I had a Lyft driver. He's like, why don't you drive at night? And I was like, it's not safe for me. And he's like, well, I don't think. I'm like, you don't understand.
Not possibly no, sir.
We get the creepy moment where the Martha's being all extra nice. Who was like, wait, what are they doing?
Yeah. Oh, that whole time, exactly. What are they doing? What are we up to? What's happening?
It was such a beautiful long take, too, of like the camera slowly going in. And even Serena's all like nice and like, oh, they think she's pregnant.
Yeah. It's only been a couple of days, but we're super excited. I'm like, y'all don't know how to handle like news. You need to wait, you be patient, get some confirmation, and then act.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's like, oh, do you want to come with me to visit baby Angela? And I was not commenting, like, it's such a weird and creepy bond between the wife and handmaid. Yeah. We talked a little bit about that.
Because it's backward. Well, it's very much, sorry, just to bring up a historical reference, it's very much like, oh God, the head house slave in slavery, because usually that was probably the one who was being sexually assaulted the most by the master, or was the child of the master, and so was brought into the house as a safer life because of whatever bloodline that person had. But in terms of slavery, like the head wife or his wife, the master's wife, did have a weird relationship with a lot of the female slaves because she knew that her husband would go out and have sex with them. And so, like, what does that mean when you're essentially talking to your husband's mistress, quote unquote, or daughter? Well,
it's highs and lows. In one scene, she's loving her, and you're my, you've blessed my household, and then the next she throws her to the ground and she's dirt again. So it's kind of like this ridiculous up and roller coaster.
It's legitimately emotional abuse.
Yeah.
She kind of goes through, specifically with the head housewife lady. Just the idea of at any moment I could love you, and at any moment I could completely destroy you. Things could get a lot worse for you.
Oh my God.
What? What about the Janine scene where it's like, you shouldn't bite people, and then she's like, well, she's a cunt, and then she named the baby.
Charlotte.
I was like, don't, because it's not gonna be yours. Don't do it.
Yeah, I'm afraid Janine's gonna lose another eye or something. Like it. She was
in the power play, like of just like, well, I've had the baby, and so I'm special treatment, but. We learned that just because you can have baby doesn't mean they can't still do horrific things to you.
Do we think she's telling the truth about the commander, or is that a delusion in her head?
I don't think it's necessarily a delusion, but I think it's a game. I get the sense that commanders, for their own desire to not feel like horrible rapist, attempt to initiate relationships with these women. I think that's a side of it as well.
We've definitely gotten hints of that from her last week saying, like, this is my husband, so don't get any ideas, to this week where we're seeing him try to develop a relationship with Offred, to this girl saying, like, oh, my guy is we're gonna run away and we're gonna be a family. I honestly feel, as you're saying, like, this is a thing that the commanders talk to each other about. Like, oh, she'll be like more open to you and maybe have a better chance of like having a baby because she'll actually like you because stupid men. I'm so worried about these girls. Get them out of here.
Well, then Serena Joy does the like, this is terribly hard and we must like remain strong. In that moment you're like, bitch, please, your life is not as hard as these other ones. Just stop. I mean, not that her life is necessarily perfect, because there could be other things we don't know about, but still you're like, Nick and Offred alone in the car. Who else? I was like, this is almost inappropriate. Like, they're allowed to communicate.
I was like, this is,
they're unsupervised.
I was like, run.
I like this old world sensuality. This old world sensuality of like, where just words and languages and looks can be.
I love that.
I'm just gonna smell you. I won't even look at you. I'll just smell you from the back. And
he later was like, I thought of running away with you.
Yeah. Okay. And then he does that thing where he like rubs his.
Yeah, he's just holding her hand. Yeah.
But he should have ran away then,
Well,
but
we don't know. There's checkpoints and things, and you can't just drive. And she has red.
It'd
be instant.
It would be
okay.
It'd
He
be
does
like
have a tracker in her ear as well.
Oh, that's right.
Well, we don't know if that's an actual GPS.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, but people would know. They would see
Actually,
it.
they don't even have enough technology. I don't think it's GPS. But so
it looks a lot like what
like
people do to their cows.
Yep, I was just gonna say a cattle thing. Yep.
Should the cow run away, then.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say the next biggest thing would pretty much be the Offglen storyline that we get, which none of this happens in the book. So it's fascinating to see like what happens to her, because it happens what her path is different in the book. But this was creepy, disturbing, realistic, because there are people punished around the world for being gay, and even when she's like, you can't even say that word.
Yeah.
When she just speaking of cattle, they have like a cattle prod type instrument where they're shocking her. I like that she finally gets to complete the scripture where she's like, I remember, and then she gets that nice whack across the face, which is just. Oh my gosh. And you get a moment of kindness where she's like, stop, she's pregnant. And I'm like, and for a moment my heart is lifted and I'm like, they'll be friends and they'll like womanhood. And then,
no, but that's for her. That's a selfish act.
Yeah. Even Aunt Lydia's like, oh no, she's pregnant. I heard a pregnant one.
I can't believe she hit her that hard. I mean, you can kill her. She looked like she kind of hit her on the head there.
I often wonder if Aunt Lydia is not a queer, closeted person herself, because she's so disturbed by the thought of being gay and queer, and she's like that thing. Like if you're straight and comfortable in your straightness, like queerty doesn't bother you. You're like, whatever, it's not me.
I love that you picked up on the verse thing, because that is a constant theme in the book, that they keep saying that verse, and she's like, they never finish that statement.
Yeah.
She's like, they never get the part of they will inherit the earth.
Yeah.
We get the Nick runs in the room too when she gets hurt, which I was like, oh, hey there. So Offland has her trial with the Martha, so they had a relationship. Because at first I was like, wait, because I'm like, that was the past. But you had a relationship with the
Guys.
Martha.
Yeah.
Guys.
They can't speak. They're not
Yeah,
allowed to talk
yeah.
at their own trial.
Yeah.
One man claims the thing that they did. That's it.
If you have a vagina, you're guilty. That's
Pretty
it.
much.
Just that's it.
But
I mean, is that not how
Right,
it is now?
Yeah.
Like,
but it's one of those. It's the shittiest thing to go through. But I was like, well, at least they got to ride in the van together. Like you get their final things. I know you see them die, but that could have been the last moment of like that trial room. Could have been it.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure.
Did the Martha give her
It's
up?
hard. It's hard.
Is that what happened?
No, I don't think.
I
so.
think it just happened to be
No.
that there was somebody who observed
Watching them.
a sensual moment, and not even a sexual moment, but like a look
A
or
hand
something,
touch.
a touch,
Yeah.
and that was enough.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that they described the mercy of the state being a hanging.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's the
And
most
then-
merciful thing we can do is just kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that shot was also absolutely gorgeous too.
In the
From
van?
inside the van and see it happen,
Doves in the
and
background.
it's like the slowly lifted, so you know that means she's suffocating. It's not just
Yeah.
break the neck and the van just pulls
That
away.
shit broke me, guys. I
Ooh,
was done.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was rough. Then with her, she gets wakes up in the hospital,
Yeah.
and you
Oh,
can't
man.
want what you don't have.
Female circumcision.
Ah,
Which also kind of makes me go, oh, okay, people still have no idea how sexuality works. But like,
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay, if that's what you think. A woman's
There's other
orgasm
spots,
is a lot more
yeah.
complicated than that.
yeah.
But,
As well, she still has her lips and kissing and skin touch. Yeah,
and the clitoris goes
yeah.
inside. Just in case you didn't know, everyone. It's not just the
They
head.
removed the top part.
Yep.
It's still tremendously awful.
Yeah.
And can we just commend Alexis Bledell's performance in
Yeah.
this
Oh,
moment?
so
I,
good.
Like, I've liked Alexis Bledell for a long time. Never thought she was like a great actress. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she's solid. She got the job done. This was great acting. This was incredible work.
The way they closed
Stunning.
in on her face, and
Yeah.
the crying and the emotion without words. It's so good.
The
yeah.
close-ups on the show are stunning. To
So
be
good.
Like, you are
Reed
in their face.
Moreno, my
I love her.
lady, my love. Like, I love Reed Moreno. She's
Yeah.
so talented.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arcane Pacific says but they know her past, and so they forgave her because she's fertile. Because but
Well,
Yeah.
they don't forget about her past. Ugh, that's just creepy.
I don't. Maybe some
Um,
people rather die than go through that. Who knows? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we mentioned already that Offred was pregnant, but I thought it was crazy that they show the menstruation stuff
I
on the
love that
panty. I'm
they
like,
showed it.
they showed that? That never gets seen either.
Hulu's
have to
like,
show
we're
that.
going to do
Do it.
whatever we want because
Yes.
we don't have to abide by network rules.
Go.
Yeah.
Go Hulu.
Thank you.
And then the only other things really too were the protest march flashback of which we have plenty of protesting going on nowadays, but that
Yeah.
they just opened fire on them and just shoot them.
So scary.
They're
Whew.
passing bills. So I
Yeah.
have to make this because
No.
when I watch the show, it's so real to me. But in February, they were trying to pass bills, I think in Virginia and Washington, or at least two states that were, you could run over protesters if they were blocking the road. So to me, that's a parallel. Obviously, the show, will dramatize it. But, I mean, this is the same. It's happening.
Well, we were talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
before the show
Yeah.
started. There's the woman who laughed during Jeff Sessions'
Yep.
approval into his
Yeah.
position, and now she could be
Confirmation.
facing up to a year for disturbing a court procession, which is
Yep.
freaking stupid. And then, of course, today we saw the new healthcare bill has passed, which is bananas crazy because now pre-existing conditions include rape, include being involved in domestic violence disputes,
Yeah.
includes like crazy things like if you were bulimic, something pre-existing condition, and this could cost like 5 to 10 times more than what the average person would pay. The show is so
Everyone
important.
needs to watch the show.
The show is
Tell
so
a friend.
important.
I like this. Thomas C in the chat says, picking and choosing what the Bible says. Where have I heard that before? Right? All right, let's do some really quick predictions. And I was all, you've watched a little, no? Okay.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, anybody jumping on anything?
I'm really hoping Offred gets pregnant and fast, just because I don't want her to die.
Okay.
And original Glenn, I don't think that we're anywhere near done with her. I feel like this is going to go so much farther past the book. I have not read the book, but I kind of have an idea of where it stops. I'm hoping we get some revolution going on.
Oh yeah.
Need it.
Exactly. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the comeback, for the resistance, and I'm hoping that Nick is sort of part of that, because I don't see how they would be able to access outside of the home without having someone that leaves it and is not watched as much, I'll say. So I anticipate or predict that Nick would kind of help her start to get outside of that world a little bit. Yeah.
I just don't think we should trust any of the men in the story, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Or in life. I mean, I didn't say that. Don't.
Can't trust the woman on
that
the show.
That was a joke,
either.
you guys. No, I think. I don't think we're done with Offglen, and I did watch episode 4, but I'm not going to speak on it, even though I think everyone else watching it's watched episode 4. Yeah. I feel like we have to get some type of confrontation between Offred and Fred. I think that's going to be a big thing, and you kind of see her hinting at like just getting a little bit more aggressive, and I'm excited to see her finally kind of just be like, "Fuck it, what do I have to lose?" So, yeah.
Do you have a prediction?
No. I was gonna say I like since we've changed Offglen's path. I'm curious to see if we see more of her. Because I thought it's one of those a choose your own adventure idea. Like this is the basic framework, but they're like, here's some alternate paths.
Oh,
great, cool.
Also, season 2 pickup.
Yes,
Season
thank
2.
Oh wow, that's right.
Before we get out of here, I just want to say thank you to Kayla Lee Gibbons in the chat from last week, who had really interesting thoughts about the show and its representation of fundamentalists versus traditionalists, which I think is important as we discuss these really important topics. Also, thanks to Gimmick 2, Kelly Coleman, and Ahmed Al-Naiman. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. We really appreciate you guys being in the chat. You can always go to iTunes, give us the 5 stars, tell us what you like, help us get guests on the show, and tell our producers that you like us by giving us a thumbs up.
Yeah. Let's go down the line and say where people can find you.
All right, Adrian Snow on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
Find me online at Veronica B online.
And Joelle Monique, you can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique, every week at blackgirlnerds.com. Head over to Schmoes Know, see my episode last night where we go over Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. My review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is on blackgirlnerds.com right now. And then coming up on Friday, I believe, I have my interview with W. Kamau Bell on the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Sweet. And my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D. Lane. And tonight I'm going to the closing night for the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival. Hope you watched my interviews from opening night. It was a great time. And thank you so much for watching me. Really appreciate it and love your comments and joining in the live chat. And if you can't join us in the live chat, comment down below. 5 stars on iTunes. Thumbs up. Yay. All right, cool. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Blessed be the fruit.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.